I made my first 8-page comic, and here's how I did it. Welcome, bienvenue, to my first ever video on YouTube. I put together 7 points to help you get started with your first comic/manga. So let's get started. Do you want your rough draft to look like this? And your finished pages like this? That's what I'm here for. I got you. Step 1 is practice. I know you've heard it a million times, but look though, this is how I do it. I've always been into character animation, so I love to practice bodies in motion. I believe that it's important to convey the intentions of your character even if they're stuck on a single frame. You'll find that figure drawing and live sketching will bring your characters to life. You'll find that it's important in an action scene with 2 characters going at it, or in a lively conversation between friends. On the topic of character expression, there's more than one way to sell the character's intention. There's body language, the face, and then there's hands. You can't escape them. No more hands in pockets. Just go ahead and get started, man. A hand a day keeps the doctor away, that's what I heard. Some of the coolest scenes are those where the hands are emphasized in the foreground. I'm talking authors like Koei Horikoshi and myself. I draw hands so much, that's what I start my drawings with. Nah, I'm just playing. But seriously, you're gonna have to spam practice and draw anything that crosses your mind, however weird that can get. Trust. And then there's writing. You're gonna wanna have a rough outline of what your world is gonna look like so that your character can have a world to step on. Now listen, don't be so quick to give your character the most devious background ever conceived. Chillax. And if that's you,
get some help.
More often than not, people are a product of where they're from. There's always exceptions, but you have to do them in a cool way, or a very well done way. Take U, for example. A magical place with many kingdoms would make sense that it would breed people like Finn and Jake, who have a strong sense of justice and chivalry, that love exploring and making friends. In contrast, a more somber magical world would breed a dark knight who thirsts for vengeance and violence. Or you could make a normal world where the main character could ignore the call to action and lead a normal life. That would be a very basic looking character, which takes me to my favorite part, character design. In a normal world with undertones of crime and a little fantasy, this is what my characters would look like. In a more lighthearted, fun, and interesting series, they would look like these hopefully familiar faces. Here's an example of where I use this principle. In the middle is my main character Samantha that I designed for a story I was writing. But later on I decided to change the setting, and her design didn't fit the world she was in anymore. So I had to adjust for that too. And with her rounded out face and simplified features, she fits better the world that I'm writing. Once your character's drawn, you'll need to familiarize yourself with them. Learn what they like, what they don't like, until you can think, what would my character do in this situation? Learn what they're good at and what they're not, until you can think, man, my character would suck at this. Things like these are what make your character come to life. Kind of leave that 2D plane and feel like a real person. You can even go and animate them if that helps you with that process. But what is a good story without a good sidecast? I need to make a few more characters that can be companions, mentors, or enemies. It's important to make them relevant to the story and have goals of their own, not just revolving around the main character. Make them interact and see how they affect each other, and more importantly, what they bring out of each other. Are they here to make your characters laugh, or genuinely piss them off? Or both? Either way, a good sidecast that can move on their own and be able to make selfish decisions will count for the overall quality of your series. This next part is something that even industry pros struggle with. A good story. Yeah, now listen. I've seen so many comics and manga that just got canceled because they couldn't execute the story well. Good art alone ain't enough to put your book on the shelf. And I've seen comics with questionable anatomy skills get extremely popular, Tokyo Avengers, because their story was decent. So have an idea of where your story's going before you start drawing. And have the hook be, a little early. You don't want to make your new readers wait a few chapters for the story to get good. They'll drop it. All I'm saying is have a storyboard. Straight away isn't for everyone. That's something I had to accept as well. Know what else is important? Rules, or a power system, depending on your story. Having rules that every character abides by is a good way to make the interactions between them even more interesting. Having some of your characters be crafty and clever enough to utilize those rules to their advantage is always nice to see. It keeps everything grounded and intellectual. A field day for the power scalers. But it also sets up for the most terrifying kind of character, of one who can straight up ignore the rules of a structured world, a character that every other one would be terrified of encountering. And yes, I mean Gojo. You saw it coming too. Next up is paneling. You know, the types of boxes you're gonna use. This is a basic page with medium and big panels. This is what your average shonen is gonna look like, with big panels to emphasize their cool poses and cool actions. Majority of manga follow this pattern. The next is a little bit different. More crowded page leaves room for dialogue rather than action. These are more common in gag manga. But you know, it doesn't really matter. If you can make it work like this, if that works for you, that's fine. I like my action pages a little unconventional, you know? Characters popping out of panels and things of that nature. A dynamic panel is good to show the hype and the pressure of a scene, or to make you fully understand the weight of a character's emotions in a certain scene. They both work. Use them how you shall. Or not. I don't care. The last one is one of the most obvious and important parts. Read manga or comics. Think about it. How are you supposed to be good at something that you don't actually understand? Read the material, start your own little collection, either digital or physical, whatever fits. You can always look back at them if you're in need of inspiration. And that concludes this video on how to get started with your first comic. Leave a like if you found anything I said to be useful. Comment on anything you would like me to go deeper in, and subscribe for future advice. Thank you, and good luck on your first comic.